Happy Sunday. Looks like we're about 10 seconds in. I'm going to give this a few minutes while we're live. Let people start showing up. Let YouTube push this out into the feed. And then we'll begin. We'll begin a little bit of an intro to electrical discharge machining. And it's kind of black magic. But we'll talk about it in just a few minutes. So there's a few people that are just hopping on. So please, guys, just be patient, sit tight. Maybe another 30 seconds, we'll get going. I just got a lot of stuff we're working on. All right, we got some people that are coming. I thought I'd show you guys something real quick. So I've been in contact with this company that does laser calibration. All right, and the reason I want laser calibration is I'm making some mold bases that are about 18 inches by 10.5 inches, and these are 3-inch pieces of steel. You may have seen them in one of my other videos. I guess I could just turn the camera on and show you guys real quick, but this is them right here. These great big pieces of steel, they're boat anchors, all right? They're no joke. And so the thing is, I'm going to be putting leader pins in this setup that are pretty accurate. They're about 1-inch thick leader pins, and they have bushings, and there's only about 1,000 of slip fit in there. And so it's going to be tricky. There's really two ways to do this. If you're not going to laser comp this machine, I could probably just machine those plates roughly the size, just leave, say, like, I don't know, 10, 20 thousandths of material on the thickness. And I could just drill all the way through all 3 holes at once and then bore all the way through those holes at the same time, which is why I got this, but I would need a longer adapter for the ITS boring head. The other option is to do them individually, but then if you're going to do them individually, you need to make sure that your machine is dead nuts. It's as accurate as it can possibly be. By the way, guys, I hope my audio sounds good. I'm wearing a mic for you guys today because so many people complained about the glasses. Let's see here. I'm going to see if I can put live chat on here. All right, so there's the chat's on the screen now. Well, in order to hire a laser compensation company, you got to be able to defeat the door locks. Now, this is what's funny. You can't run the augers. There's a lot you can't do with the doors open on this machine. But if you're going to run a laser compensation, you got to be able to put a laser out here to align the machine. So what I did is I made these. I was going to give these away, but the liability just compels me not to. You see it. If you want to make one, they're super easy to make. That's just 2 neodymium magnets that go up here and right here. And now, if you want to run any of these functions, you can. But this also means that you could severely hurt yourself. So take that with a grain of salt, all right? So these are my little defeaters. And this is so that I can get the machine laser comp. Unfortunately, I didn't know this, but I just talked to Haas, and it's going to cost me about $1,700 just to get a USB key to unlock all the parameters in the control so that the laser compensation company can do its job. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty upset about it, but I'll save it for another video. When I got my first VF2, the first one I ever had, it worked perfect. And then the company that actually sold it to me, Machining Time Savers, they came out and they upgraded the software because it had issues with the probing. If the probing missed, you couldn't jog the machine. Well, when they put that new software in my machine, it crashed it. The machine crashed on its own, just a short while later. And Haas replaced that machine with this machine. And it just, I don't know, doesn't seem to be as accurate. All right, we got 48 people that are here. We're 4.5 minutes in. Enough with the VF2. Let's get into electrical discharge machining. I'm going to grab the camera, I'm going to turn it around, and we're going to walk over there, and I'm going to show you guys some of the fundamentals. So, all right. I got a microphone hanging off this little miniature tripod. All right, so these are a bunch of custom electrode holders that I've made. Okay? This is the machine itself. There's a tool changer right here that holds, there's like a carousel tool changer. I don't know if you can see, it holds a bunch of electrodes. And this is the table itself. So I've got some fixtures and I got some stuff that I really don't want to show because it's proprietary, but you can see that I left my fixtures on the table. You see this right here, this is a tooling ball. Now this is really what's different about EDM machines. EDM machines, man, they burn with electricity. So how do you put a square hole into a piece of steel without a broach? Well, you do it with an EDM machine. And so basically, you see I've got this fixture that I've built up with some 246 blocks, and you can't see this, but there's actually shim stock underneath one of these corners to make my fixture dead flat. You could put an indicator up here and run it around here, and it's accurate to within about a 10,000th of an inch. Like the OCD is strong with this one. Now, what this does, this lets you measure an electrode and set its basically coordinate system. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's see here. Let me fire this thing up. All right, so first thing you want to do is tank return the machine. The tank's down. We're going to hit 0, enter, and then when we hit start, which is what I'm going to hit right here, you'll see the tank will move. Now, you're thinking, man, that's not very impressive, so here, let's do this. Now, we'll use the pendant box to zero the machine. So this is the 0. We're going to, or the 0 return, so we're going to return Z, C, Y, and X, and you can see that slowly, that's the nature of these machines, it's returning very, very slowly. So why the machine returns, I'm going to show you guys how a lot of parts are made on EDM machines. First things first, EDM machines use, sorry about this tripod, this thing's jamming me up. EDM machines use graphite or copper electrodes to burn metal. It's that simple, all right? So, this is a piece of graphite. It's not particularly toxic, but it's very, very, very messy. And most importantly, if you decide to start messing with this stuff, it's electrically conductive. If you let this dust float around your shop, you could destroy the electronics on your very expensive machinery, all right? You've been warned. The other way to do this is with copper, and there are different grades of copper. This is really common in China and in Europe, and even Japan to some extent, but more and more they're coming around to graphite. Graphite is much easier to cut, much less expensive most of the time. There are a variety of different grades, and the copper is actually measured or graded based on its particle structure. Of course, we can't see it with the naked eye, but there's different levels. I use all of what's called POCO, P-O-C-O, POCO graphite. I really like POCO. And when you're setting up your program, which we'll talk about here in just a few seconds, there's a variety of parameters that you can select, and one of them is the surface finish you're looking for. And originally when I first started, this is actually an R Max. I don't know if you guys can pick that up, but it says R Max right there underneath the RZ. But this machine actually measures finish in RZ. And so those were the original finishes that I used to shoot for. A lot of times now I shoot for much finer finishes, but that's how I got started. One of the most common ways, far and away, that you'll see people holding items inside of EDM machines is a magnetic chuck. And if you guys have never seen one of these, this is just a solid 1, 2, 3 block, and you can see that there's nothing there. You flip this baby over, and it's a boat anchor, right? It's strong. This is just a cheap one, and what a lot of guys will do, I don't know if I can show you guys this or not. See if I can do this. What a lot of guys will do, holy crap, there's holes in the back of these, and a lot of times on this other side, I guess not on this side, this is generally a ground edge, and you can bolt a guide, like a guide rail. And so what you can do is you can mount this to the table right here, and then you tap it in. You tap that in so that you have a really flat datum, all right? And so now you know how you hold the work. You know what the machine is. Let's talk a little bit about electrode holders. What we have here is a master chuck. So normally you might hold something in a vise, but in EDM machines, they use generally one of two systems, System 3R or EROA. And what it is you have this chuck, which basically mimics this chuck right here, okay? And so you put this in your CNC machine, and then you have to find a way to put this in here with a small drawbar, and then that's how you cut your electrode. And there, you can make custom electrode holders. Companies sell blanks like this, and what you can do is you can cut your grooves or slots or whatever to hold your graphite or hold your copper. This is another one that I've been working on for kind of a project where I had to reach down. I actually had to reach down into a bore, just a couple inches, but I actually was going to put a curved electrode like this that actually rotated in. So it actually rotated in like this, right? So that's why that arm is on there. And then this is just the same thing that was designed to hold something like this or however you want to do it, just depending on the job that you have to do. And so I guess the last thing I'll show you guys is when you're actually running the machine, you might raise the tank up to say, I don't know, 18, hit start, and you'll see that the tank starts to rise up. And then you'll hit this button over here, which is rapid fill. And the whole machine fills up with what's called dielectric fluid. This is fluid that does not conduct electricity. In the old days, machines would use things like kerosene, but today we use dielectric fluid that's designed specifically for EDM. And yeah, I guess this is just hugging me. I was going to pull it off there, but you can create flushing and stuff. I should have pulled that tube out. But what you can do is, you see this gauge right here. You can turn this on, and then it allows flushing. I had to turn the fluid on. It'll allow flushing because when you have your piece, yeah, I know. You know what's funny is you would think that kerosene would actually blow up, but it really doesn't. It doesn't. Your sparks are under the liquid, so it doesn't matter. So ultimately, these machines, you're going to see these machines more often than not in the mold making industry. It's as simple as that, okay? And just like on a CNC machine where you might use an edge finder or a Renishaw probe, this machine, this is a probe that I just made. This is just a stylus that I made for a little piece of aluminum in a holder. And you can come over here and you can say, okay, workpiece measure, and you can choose like a boss, a pole, a hole, a corner, a 3-point, a 4-point. There's so much that can be done. Like, then when you get to electrode measure, you actually, in CNC machining, you use the center line of the tool or the edge of the part geometry. That's the way you program, okay? That machine always considers the center line of the tool. And an electrode like this, let's just say we're picking up 3 faces. You'll see here that it's going to set the 0 right there where K is, okay? So it's going to set this as a distance from the center line of the spindle. And so when you actually want to program something, you come in here to program, and look, does that look familiar? It's more or less fundamentally an Excel spreadsheet. So you go in here, you put your work position, your starting position for X, Y, Z, and C, your finishing position for X, Y, Z, and C, your electrical condition, which basically tells you how much current you can push through your electrode, your orbit pattern. So if you have, man, this is going to get sophisticated, so I'm just going to stay out of this. But you see that you can run multiple electrodes, and each electrode has what's called an undersize. So if you're trying to make a 1-inch hole, and if you made a 1-inch electrode and just plunged it straight into the, or let's just say a 1-inch square, and you plunged it straight down, you wouldn't actually get a 1-inch square. You'd get a square bigger than 1 inch because those sparks are jumping off your electrode. So you'd end up with a 1 inch, I don't know, 5,000 square. It's hard to say. So what you do is you cut your electrode a little bit undersized, and this is where you compensate for that. What you then, there's so much to this. I literally could probably teach this all day. I literally went and did training for a couple days to learn this machine, but you can control the order of the machining. You can control your electrical conditions. You come in here and you say, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to make a cavity or a rib or a gate? Do I want to do like a punch or a helical? Just say cavity. And then you can say, I'm doing what kind of material? Standard material, steel material. We're going to do high-grade graphite. That's what I use. What's the depth? How deep are you burning? What is the bottom area that's making contact? Priority. Do you want to do this just regular old EDM, or do you want to go as fast as you can? Do you not have very many electrodes, so you want to just keep the wear as low as possible? Then you say, what kind of finish do you want? Remember we had our little gadget over here that told us? You say, okay, well, what kind of finish do you want over here? Put this down. And you say, okay, now you're going to orbit. Now think about this. If you have a square and you're going in and you got to orbit, if you do a circular orbit with a square, you're going to end up with some pretty round corners. That's all I can tell you. Flushing, machining, and then you send this off and you transfer it in, and ultimately you run your program. Let me turn this around here. Electrical discharge machining is, and I say this lightly, I say this like halfway laughing and halfway true. It's a little bit of black magic, if you will. There's no one that teaches it on the internet. It doesn't exist, all right? And the truth is, every application is so special that really what you need is a good applications engineer. Ultimately, you program that machine, I guess what we would say, I just saw it in the comments, conversationally. However, there are even more expensive versions of that machine that can import and export files. I think they're called EPX files. That machine can't do it. But you can actually import your model, your electrode, and it will actually do all the calculations for you based on how much contact and surface area there is. So who the hell uses EDM, or where? Every plastic gadget that you probably own, probably either, I would say that 99% of plastic molds end up with some level of EDM work. It's possible that some of them don't, but there are a lot of applications. When you see, anytime you see a gadget that has a perfectly square inside corner, unless that thing has sliding actions and all kinds of different mechanical capabilities in the mold itself, it was made that way with an EDM machine. Someone cut an electrode with sharp corners, and they used electricity to burn down. I think someone told me it's like 500,000 sparks a second. It sounds really like bacon sizzling when you're actually cutting something. But yeah, people have been asking about this for a while now, and I thought that I would go ahead and share a little bit with you guys. I got a little bit of flack yesterday. I decided to create a Patreon, and I think what I'm going to do is I will do some videos. I still love making content, but I think that there are a lot of guys out there that could benefit from, I don't know, it's my experience. And so this is all I'm going to say about it. But if you guys are interested in checking out or supporting me on Patreon, it's just Patreon-Jason_Snyder, and that's it. Right now, I'm going to look through the comments. I'm going to see if you guys have any other things that we can talk about here. Let's see here, live chat. Cancel. All right, conversational program. Shane Gonzalez, man, my eyesight sucks. Something Gears says, so that's one of the reasons good molds cost quite a bit. Yeah, it absolutely is. Here's the thing, the adventures of one-handed machining. I'm sorry, you guys. I just, it was easier to do it that way for me. Here's the thing. No, cancel. I don't want to do that. Here's the thing. A lot of these features that you're going to make, they take more than one electrode. They take many electrodes, and they take electrodes that are run in sequence. And so my company makes products for the hobby industry, molded products for the hobby industry. However, we have been contacted by a variety of different companies over time And yes, Garrett's asking, is hybrid work common? And the answer is yes, Garrett. Hybrid work is common. It's very, very common to rough a shape to get the vast majority of the material out of the way. I would say that is more common. Like say your hair dryer. It's way more common to rough that mold roughly to shape and then take your electrode to finish everything that has specific undercuts, or maybe if you're trying to get a textured finish on plastic, this is a way to do it. You could just turn the current way up and so your sparks are really aggressive and it gives you a really rough textured finish on your plastic where you've machined most of it in a vertical or a CNC machining center. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if there's any more questions. We've already been on here for 20 minutes and I don't want to drag this on for the rest of my life. Let's see here. Adventures in one-handed machining, electronic. I actually don't mind electronic dance music. Love all the content. Let's go. All right. What will the laser comp cost you? Great question. If you have a machine where they can just come in there and the control is wide open and the parameters are wide open, it's probably going to cost you between $1,000 and $2,000. I think they say it's about $150 an hour. They can actually do the rotary too. I really like your guys' opinion on this because there's a lot of guys. By the way, on a side note, I can only imagine the amount of talent that is watching this video right this very second. And the reason I say that is because yesterday when I started the Patreon late at night, already I know for a fact that there's a guy in there that's an engineer for an aerospace company that works in a space-focused program, which is insane. I know there's another guy in there that designs 600 plus component assemblies in some very sophisticated stuff in a variety of industries. And so, man, you guys are super valuable. As much as I try to entertain and educate you guys on the things that I'm, knowledgeable about, I can only imagine what you guys could teach me. So with that said, it's about $1,500, and this is the thing that kind of catches me off guard. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm 40. I turned 40 in January. I was born in 1980, and it's interesting because I've lived through such an amazing time. I remember when if you had a pager, you were a drug dealer. And now we're walking around with iPads these are imagine showing what we have in our pocket to somebody in the medieval times. It'd be like we'd probably be like burned for heresy, right? It's like a magic mirror. Let's see here. How do you recommend starting a shop, like buying machines and stuff? All right, that's a great question. I want you guys to understand before I get into this, and I'm happy to do this. By the way, I'm not going to leave these up. I've already decided that I'm 100% willing to share a bunch of this stuff with you guys, but these I think are going to end up being Patreon videos. I spent a tremendous amount of time and energy and heartache, and I've made some awfully expensive mistakes. That EDM machine, that's our second EDM machine. I bought one without a tool changer, and right there on the floor, right there, I used to put a military cot and I would sleep there and I would wait for the machine to prompt me for a tool, and I would get up off that cot in the middle of the night and change the tool. And so I've made some dumb mistakes, you guys. That's the truth. And I like the idea of sharing it with people that value it and that understand it and appreciate it. So how would I go about starting a shop? I literally have a video that I just got done shooting about 5 minutes ago. Well, it can't be 5 minutes ago because we're 24 minutes in. So 30 minutes ago, for a guy named Jeremy on the Patreon page, and he asked about buying a Haas TM1 versus a used Haas TM1 versus a used mini mill because he wanted to start a shop. And here's the problem. Do not ready, aim, fire generally beats ready, fire, aim. And what I'm trying to tell you guys is that thinking you have a product or thinking that you'll figure it out when you get there, it might work. Hey, you want to step up to the plate and take a swing? You do it. You do you. I'll never tell you not to. I think the safest way to do this is to do it organically. Either find a market or a niche I know guys that make everything you can possibly think of. They make hobby products. There are guys, yeah, my mini mill's right down there, and yeah, hell yeah, I use that thing. It's still, that mini mill crushes it. You do you. You find a market that you like. Do you like making custom dash components for Ferraris? Do you like making running boards or, I don't know, clutch cap covers for Harley Davidsons? Do you want to make hobby parts because you want to make, I don't know, billet aluminum bumpers for crawlers? The scale crawlers that are so popular these days. Do you want to make work holding? You look at guys like Jay Pearson. So ultimately, in any business, you're providing a product or a service. And by the way, I want to clear something up. Somebody thought that I was kind of hating or throwing massive shade on some YouTube channels yesterday. And that, I can totally understand how it would be taken that way. And I'm not backpedaling because I don't give a shit. I call it the way I see it. But that's not what I meant. What I meant is that every creator provides their own unique experience, their own unique content. And you'd be a fool to not think that every creator is influenced in one way or another. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? When you look at these, when you watch a video, it might have ads that are supporting it, or it might have affiliate links that are supported it. That doesn't make the guys bad guys. John Saunders created something called Proven Cut. I've never talked about it before. I had intended to do a video about it in the past, and I think that it is awesome and terrible at the same time. And I mean that, take that lightly, don't get crazy here. I think that it's awesome because John clearly understands that there's a huge group of guys out there that have bought machines, probably Tormax, because that's who he's sponsored by and that's kind of what he's known for. And there are a lot of guys that are using their Tormax and they're struggling to get the results they want. And so, of course, what Proven Cut is, if I haven't made it clear, it's a website that provides feeds and speeds recipes. Now, let me just tell you guys, if I bought a machine like a Tormach and I needed to make a part like today, I would subscribe in a heartbeat if I weren't able to figure it out myself. That's cheap. Whatever, I don't even know what it is, $100 a month, $100 a year, doesn't matter. The bottom line is knowledge. Anybody can acquire that knowledge over time, but it's acquiring the knowledge quickly that is critical, okay? So I'm not hating on John Saunders or anybody else. John Saunders built the black plate. I paid him $500 to make that black extension plate for my TRT 160. And by the way, he did a great job. And just so you know, I'm pretty sure the one he sells on his site is the one that I designed, and I'm glad that he's selling it. I could care less. If it's not, if he modified it, good for him, okay? But when I had him make it, I told him that he was more than welcome to sell it. I understand the need for something like Proven Cut in the early stages of I guess, your machining education, but I think it's a hindrance and it can become a crutch over time, and that's what I was getting at. If you don't learn to calculate your own feeds and speeds. So yesterday, okay, so I'm gonna grab the camera. I'm gonna show you guys this really closely. Yesterday I made this mold core. First of all, I want you to see that I used this. This is the tool that I used. And this is the hell is this? This is a Technic Cat 40 L6 6-inch projection ADS collet chuck. This is not shrink fit, okay? And yesterday, see if I can show you guys this. Yesterday I made that, and that's a core. That's an inner core for a molded product that I make here in my business. I was cutting 5 millimeters deep with that tool. Feeds and speeds are something that are every bit as much of an art as they are a science. And I just wanted to be clear on that. Everybody's work holding is a little bit different. Everybody's machine is a little bit different. The run out in your spindle is a little bit different. And so, yeah, take that for what it's worth. If I was in a jam and I needed a feed and a speed for a machine that I just couldn't get it done, I would pay the money in a heartbeat. but I think that overall, it's like a battery-powered micrometer, right? It works awesome. It's super simple. It makes life easy. But if that battery dies, it's, you know, you may not have the skills to read a regular mic. I don't know. Maybe it's a bad analogy. So someone's asking me if I use imperial or metric. I originally designed all of our products in metric because I was doing business in Asia. Look, I didn't make the playing field, and I'm seeing a lot of people that are hating on China and Chinese companies that make Chinese products. I don't know how to say this. I've been to China. I've been to Taiwan. The men that walk through those factories, they're just like you and me, man. They're just out here trying to do their job, make their products, take care of their families. It's really the governments and the political systems that are at odds. But the fact is, I didn't make the game. I just have to play it, and that's the truth with so many other businesses. If I were going to start a machine shop today, I will tell you right now, I would do it as organically as I possibly could. These are all video topics. It's ironic because I made a list of video topics, but I'm going to show how I spent 20 bucks on one Facebook ad and picked up $1,500 worth of job shop work inside the Patreon group. You know, those guys have decided to support me, and so I'm literally going to go out of my way to do whatever I can to give it all away, I guess you might say. So let me see if there's any other questions here, you guys. You have to find your own way of doing things and come up with the experience and experimentation. Yeah. So I guess that's about it, you guys. I'm not seeing too many new questions come through, but the short answer is this was a short video about EDM machining. I'm in my shop on a Sunday morning, afternoon, whatever the hell you want to call it. I've got 2 tool paths left to run on that side one of that core. And then I'm going to go home, and I'm going to make myself and my wife a lunch, and I'm going to hang out in my backyard with my dog and relax. Do I run the molds yourself? No, I don't, Doug. That's a great question. I don't run the molds myself. My company's small. The max that we've had is we've carried 5 employees. Right now we're carrying about 4 employees. And most of us are super isolated, so I pretty much do all the machine work, some design work. I've hired an outside designer in our industry that is super talented to do a lot of the design work. So basically what happens is he'll do the design work. If I like it, then I go ahead and make the tooling. I design up all the tooling, and then I make the tooling, and then this goes into our press, and then our press operator runs that, and then we have one guy that comes in here that does all of the shipping and the inventorying and all that kind of stuff. This is actually, believe it or not, this small shop is actually a warehouse. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but hold on, I'll show you. This is actually a warehouse with rows of products and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so that's it. We're a small company. Let me just give you guys my outlook on life. I just started talking about this in another video, but I grew up pretty poor, and I always thought that having a bunch of money I always kind of felt like the carrot that's hanging off my back is what would make me happy. It was the next RC car, the next, I don't know, piece of tooling, the next machine, the next better house, car, name it, whatever. It was the next. When I started this company, I started it not because I wanted to make a ton of money. In fact, I have had to sacrifice more than I ever thought I would to do this. But I started this company because I wanted to start making progress on building a life for myself and my wife that would constitute my perfect average day. And it's a concept that I heard about a decade ago, but I liked it. And basically it's what would you do each and every day if there were no limits or boundaries. And so for me, We all, to some degree or another, have to work. And if you don't have to work, you got to do something all day. I mean, you can't just watch SpongeBob all day. I mean, I guess you could watch SpongeBob all day. I wouldn't. And so here's the point. The point is, if you gave me, I don't know, $20 million tomorrow, someone walked in, some magic angel, gifter decided to grant me $20 million tomorrow or today, I would be here tomorrow. Now, I might be here with some super high-end machines, but I would be here. And I just enjoy what I'm doing. And so that's what it's all about for me. It's just about waking up in the morning and doing something that you enjoy doing day after day. It's funny. I think it was Mark Twain. Mark Twain, I think, said this better than anybody, but I'm going to give you my version. When you're doing what you want to do, you're playing. When you're doing what you have to do, you're working. Unfortunately, in life, we all have to do. You do what you have to so that you can do what you want to. And so if you're going to start a machine shop, I would do your very, 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 very best to figure out where you're going to get clients. Can you afford the tooling? Can you afford to pay for $10,000 worth of material while your vendor wants net 30 or net 60? All right? The machine is literally the tip of the iceberg. The bulk of the iceberg is below the surface and you can't see it. It's a vice. It's the end mills. It's the tool holders. It's the this. It's the that. It's the never ending. It's the never ending. Okay. It's the new pull studs. It's the bottles of grease. It's just look right here. Okay. Just look right here. $200. By the way, I bought these. I friggin' love these things. These are these special jaws made by MMM USA, and they're like a serrated jaw. Love them, use them an absolute ton. Maybe one of my favorite tools in the shop, but still a couple $100. I don't know, $5, $10. $5, $10. I don't know, $10. Small machinist square, inexpensive, $10. These are the jaws that came with the Kurt DX6. It's in there with aluminum jaws on it, so those, I guess, technically I can't really count. Then you've got this. You want a probe? Oh, you want a probe system. You want to get yourself a Renishaw Whips probing system, do you? By the way, these last two things, that's a set of parallels, and these are some Snap ID bore gauges. So you got yourself a brand new Renishaw probing system that you paid $5,500, or you just financed it in on your machine, right? Well, first of all, I'm happy for you because I freaking love this system, but how do you calibrate everything? Well, you go buy a ring gauge. That way you can check to make sure that everything's dead nuts. Everything loses calibration. Do you have a calibration tool to set the tool setter to get everything going? It's so ridiculously easy to underestimate what it takes to get going. So all I can tell you guys is that I wish, I'm a mega nerd, all right? Mega nerd. I love history, and on December 7th, 1941, we were attacked by the Japanese. There's a whole bunch of stories, and I'm not going to get into that. But it's rumored that a Japanese admiral uttered the words, "We have awakened a sleeping giant and filled him with great resolve." And what he was talking about was America's manufacturing capability. We have lost that. We have forfeited that. For whatever reason, generations before me influenced the political leaders. They outsourced a lot of the companies and a lot of the labor. Maybe their intentions were good, maybe their intentions were bad, and they shipped out all of our production and manufacturing to other countries for cheap labor and bigger profits. And now I think, let me just say this. I don't care where you're at. I'm in America. I'm in California. I would like to see the vast majority of the products that are made to be made right here in America and in California, locally, I guess, as local as possible. And so if you're in Rome or Italy or Thailand or you know, Spain or Australia or wherever. I think that manufacturing is a critical component to every aspect of our society. And for a long time, my teachers used to tell me that, you know, you had to go to college. You got to go to college. If you don't go to college, you know, you're going to be nothing. This is not true. This is 100% not true. It's also true, though, that you have to start somewhere. You have to be humble. You have to take time. You have to learn, and you have to get the result. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you ask me, it's really the result that really matters. Does it matter? Does it matter which way we skin the cat, so long as the cat gets skinned, so to speak? Don't go skin any cats, but that's the point I'm making, right? So, all right, so that's it. We're deep. This is a deep, deep video. We're 40 minutes in. I just thought I would originally show you this EDM machine, and it went a lot longer than I thought it would go. I'm wearing my wireless mic. Does this work for you guys? Does this sound? I'm hoping that this sounds crisp and clean, and that's it. We'll try to do this again soon. One more time. This will be the last time. I do have a Patreon. If this is something that you think is valuable to you, cool. If not, then avoid it altogether. And when I post, I'll be right here so you guys can communicate. Talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.